Okay, so here we are today, and the topic is VR. Is there anyone who still believes, or do you still believe, or something like that? And we have Sos Sosowski.
Hello.
We have Valentin Simonov from Unity, Paweł Rabka from Kulok, Adam Robaszyński-Janiec, House of Fables, and I will moderate today only because I have an agenda with VR, so I will try to be objective. I'm Łukasz from Anchor Studios. Okay, so maybe before we go into the actual topic, we'll start with what is your connection or with VR, meaning are you interested in development, maybe of mobile VR or stationary VR, with technology connected to VR? Well, what is your, as a panelist, if any, attachment to VR at all?
So I'm making a VR game by accident. The game is called Mosh Pit Simulator. It's a thing. So I got a Vive dev kit, and I wanted to make a bunch of prototypes and small games for VR. And so I was like, okay, I got it. I should spend 2 days making something. So I spent half an hour putting together this thing where you can push around these humans that are super wobbly and just walk towards you. Wobble towards you, and you just push them around, and everything was broken, and I added too much strength to that, so it was this funny effect of me just touching them and they were wobbling around. So I made a GIF of that, uploaded it online. I was like, hey, I was trying to make this mosh pit simulator, which is bullshit, and it didn't work out. And then so this GIF got 4,300,000 views in the first 24 hours. I woke up the next morning, I looked at that stat, from the IMG, I was like, yep, so I'm making a VR game now. I felt it's a doom. I was like, I'm gonna make this game and starve to death because the VR is not gonna sell. But that was my first thought. I cannot not do it now. I have to do it, and I have no idea how is it gonna go, where the VR is gonna go. So now I'm in this place where the bar is high. I'm like, yeah, you're making this game and it's super popular. I'm rolling on the floor. And I think I'm gonna starve to death.
Okay, we're gonna get into that a little bit later. Valentin?
Yeah, okay. So even before joining Unity, I got Oculus Rift, the first development kit. That was really cool. So in my previous company, we've been developing, connecting virtual and augmented realities with physical realities, riding a bicycle and headset or some other interactive installations. And now I work in Unity, and I tested a lot of VR setups. I test all the internal versions of Unity that come up, and I work with many customers who experiment with virtual reality, and it's really interesting to be an outside an observer of what works with VR, what works in VR right now, and what doesn't. For example, I see many companies these days they try to create this a room scale VR multiplayer games. For example, you're running with guns in this kind of room. A few of them are successful, but it's a really interesting trend.
Okay. Paweł?
Okay, so at Kulok we have 2 reasons actually to look into the VR. And the obvious one is to work with the partners, because sooner or later, and actually it's just started, people will just come to Kulok and ask about the VR services. And the other one is something that everybody do. We're researching the VR because we might do something on it. So for the last months, it's part of my daily task to work with VR. And we tested all the setups like the Oculus, the Vive, the mobile VR, the Gear Power, and other smaller devices. So yeah, that's
okay. So I'm running Casual Game Studio, and we are creating hidden object puzzle adventure games, strategy games. And a year ago I started investigating VR technology. We started with cardboard, then we used Gear VR from Samsung, then we used also Oculus. and recently even Chinese Dipun M2 device. And since this year, since January, I've got part of the studio developing totally only VR stuff. We have 2 projects, gaming projects. One is sandbox with playing with trains, like with small train models we used to play in a childhood. And the other one was creating hidden object puzzle adventure game in VR. And apparently after Digital Dragons, it seems this game will be pretty much interesting. What is fun, it's 2D game in VR, and it's good game for early adopters, as we had all scope of every age, gender playing this game, from 19 years old guys to 70-year-old women playing this game, and everybody could find themselves in VR. So it showed us that VR is something that can be adapted by almost everyone, and if it's prepared well and does not cause nausea, even 70-year-old woman who would not ever take gamepad in her hands can play game in VR. So hopefully next month we will be releasing first game Wrath of Loki in VR, and later this year probably VR Trains puzzle game. Besides game dev business, we are also providing our own technology for streaming 360 live. So basically this is now.
Okay, so we have 2 persons like involved in real VR development, like full-time, almost full-time, so
And full-time.
okay, and we have 2 more like observer, like let's see where it goes, we do our R&D, etc., right?
Well, we actually do stuff.
Okay,
The real
It's
stuff.
secret.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
can't really talk about it too much. But
okay.
it's not like we only.
So okay, so it's funny that because it's funny to me that on a panel where like almost everybody in some way is connected to VR, the topic of the panel is there anyone who still believes in VR? So maybe until we answer that question, we would say, did VR meet your? It's like an open question. What did you expect out of VR? Because we're after actually, like you may say, launch of HTC Vive and Oculus. We all know it's like been more of a soft launch, like only direct sales, etc. So we don't have like huge campaigns. You cannot buy it in supermarkets, etc. in high quantities. So it's more of a direct sales, soft launch kind of thing. But we might say that okay, we know what HTC Vive is. You can buy it. You know what Oculus is. You know what is Samsung Gear VR. You know what it can do. So comparing to your like expectations from like let's say from year back. How do you feel about VR right now? Did it deliver?
Yeah, so I went to GDC. I was super skeptical. I was like, this is not gonna go well. Like all this VR and this VR developers conference, that was a part of GDC this year. GDC is like the biggest thing in video games, and now like a part of it was called VRDC, and there were like lines and lines of people waiting to go into these talks like about VR. And like the common joke was like that these are the unemployment lines. So I was like, everybody was super skeptical, but then like I went to GDC, and I know like a bunch of people who went to GDC got like this flipped upside down with all the things that are being made. It's not about the hardware, it's about the software. It's about like, I believe that what the fate of VR is in our hands, in the hands of people developing for it. Like they can be the best thing ever, or they can be virtual boys with like red displays. But like their success is entirely dependent of the performance of the software that we develop for it. And I went to GDC.
Again.
Yeah, I didn't start with that, but I know that like my game is part of it, and like the expectations for it are pretty high, and like I am part of like destroying the VR. Like I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it all crumble. No, but seriously. And so I went to GDC, and I've seen not the actual hardware. I've seen the things that are made for it. I've seen the ideas that people have for it. I've seen the motivation, like in the developers, the indie developers, to create it. I've seen how it is all handled, and like how the indie developers have actual like design freedom to create a lot of strange shit for it. Like to be precise, because this is what's going to push it further. Like, not Half-Life for the Vive or the Portal for the Vive is not going to be the best thing ever. The best thing ever is going to be a weird thing made by an indie developer that no one ever heard of before, because he got the Vive and he thought outside of the box. He thought outside of the games and outside of the VR experiences that we know, and made something new that everybody is going to be blown the minds of. So, yep. I'm pretty excited.
And it's like everybody just talk that right now everybody just think what will be the killer app. But from my side it's like a problem. It's like people just think about it for the last year and we still don't know nothing. We still don't know.
We know what not to do. And this is really good, because this is in the hand of developers, in our hands, to actually make something which people will like, and because the first experience matters. I know a lot of people whose first experience in VR was this, like roller coaster game.
Yeah.
And like not many people actually handled it well, the roller coaster.
Surprise.
Yeah, and their first experience was kind of shitty, so now they think that all VR is shit. So it's really hard to tell them that there are really good experiences in VR right now. So it's content is king.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I just need to be the skeptic to get the thing going, because I know like VR and everything, and that, yeah, VR sucks. what I'm trying to say here is from a user perspective. I have Oculus Rift at home, I have Vive at home, I have Samsung Gear VR at home, right? And the problem is that I'm a 32-year-old with a credit card with quite a limit. Like, you could buy a lot of games, right? And right now, if somebody told me this is like an awesome game, it costs 100 euro, but you're gonna have like 10 hours of fun in VR, I would buy it for 100 euros. And I would do it because there's fucking nothing there, right? And my question is, I'm gonna steal it from you because you said it earlier in our beer discussion. You said the problem is that the hardware is already there, the consumers are there, like 100,000 plus of Oculus, 100,000 plus of Vive, like So we have like 200,000 users out there who say, I was a little bit cheated. It's like, okay, there's VR porn, but come on, after a while, it gets boring, even in VR. So it's like, I want to buy games, but there are no games, and the word of mouth isn't to your friends like, yeah, you have to buy it. You're not gonna say it right now because you're not gonna feel comfortable to that, okay, but he's not going to have anything to play after like 2 evenings or maybe 1 week, something like that, right? So I agree that content is king, but the question now is, content is king and it's not there, hardware already is there, and the word of mouth is there's no content, so the user base is not growing very dynamically, so nobody's going to put a lot of money, I mean like huge pile of money, in VR content development, like millions of dollars, because there's no user base to get the return on it, and it's like a death circle, right?
Yeah. Like there's a hole in a loop.
Yeah, and
Not quite.
okay.
So the main thing is, you mentioned about Vive and Oculus Rift, and it's only merely 200,000 users, more or less, and
Probably
a lot of them is developers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is good because they basically buy anything to get to make research.
Yeah.
But still, this is not the point where the VR in next year or 2 years will develop. And I strongly believe the place for VR will be mobile. It will be Gear VR. It will be. Oh, I can show this. It's Chinese stuff. The Chinese guys created their own completely autonomous VR stuff. You do not have to put anything inside. It just works more or less. And
Can I touch it?
yeah, sure. Just don't turn it on because it's pretty noisy. So this is the one part. The other part is Google Daydream, and it will happen in fall. And every modern phone, flagship phone, this fall on will be supported by Android 7 Nougat, and it will support VR inside. So when you put the phone inside and start playing something, and someone calls you, it will not disrupt everything. It will be prepared for VR, The phones will have all the stuff, hardware necessary. That will be no lag like in a cardboard. It will be more like Gear VR, but the headset will be much cheaper because it will not need any electronics inside. So tens of millions of people will have devices capable of handling VR within a year on mobile. And this is the place where it can happen, and even more. Google made some checks, and they figure out that average user now plays about 25 minutes. So it's not a lot of content you have to create the app that will be playable and used by millions of people. So I rather think about creating half-an-hour games and experiences for VR and for mobile VR than creating your 10 hours for $100 game for Rift or Vive. It's not yet the time for big VR.
I think you're pretty enthusiastic about those millions.
I said that they will be people capable of having potentially.
Yeah.
But
The question is, will they buy the headsets, right?
In April there was already 1 million Gear VR users. So it was in April.
Active users that constantly buy something new, if there is something?
If you have this, you constantly buy because there is no content yet. So if something good happening around.
No, there's over 1 million active users.
Okay, so the thing is, I think like with these 100,000 and these millions that will probably grow, plus like cardboard users, having like
Daydream,
I think like Daydream, if you are developing for the like PC big VR, the like Oculus and the Vive, you should probably think about having at least a spin-off app.
Yeah.
For the gear, like to at least like be a demo or like an incentive for people to buy, or like as something for those millions, right?
Or even worse, and it might be unpopular, rather create game for mobile VR and then blatantly port it to the bigger VR. It's better that way than creating spin-off. And it may not be nice,
performance issues
really.
with that.
From mobile to
Yeah, like my game is pretty heavy. Let's not talk about
yeah. So it might not be suitable for mobile VR, and it limits audience now, and it might be hard.
But it will also grow. Like it's not only like the VR tech that is developing; it's also like the entire tech. Like the phones this year, like the phones are moving on so rapidly. Like much like a PC from 5 years ago, you can play everything on max on that. Like if it was a high-end PC, it still is a high-end PC. If you have a high-end phone from 5 years ago, like you know, like that's like Galaxy S2.
It's useless.
That's like it's useless. It's a piece of junk. And like in 5 years, like these things will be like on par with the big computers.
Okay.
And that's where like I think the mobile VR will blow.
Yeah. Okay. So we can also distinguish that we have mobile VR and we have VR, and this is like two different things because it's also two different end users actually. Because mobile VR is trying at least to be more casual, meaning that like as you said, 17-year-old could use it, etc. While the stationary VR, especially HTC Vive, that you need to commit like your living room or whatever, you need to set it up, etc.
So there is PlayStation VR also.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
And PlayStation VR is probably going to be, compared to Oculus and HTC Vive, is going to be probably really plug and play. Like Sony is usually known for that. That's going to be much easier to set up, right? So the question is what the content is going to be, because right now all the stuff that was publicly shown is like pretty standard VR stuff.
I mean, the biggest problem with console VR games is that most of the developers are porting normal stuff for it.
Yeah, exactly. That's not
stuff,
that's actually not the way to go with it. And actually, for example, what do you think about stuff like, isn't it like disturbing the VR, like Resident Evil 7, for example? I, as a VR developer, got really mad that Resident Evil 7 did what they did, because what they did is like, you know, treat VR like additional play mode, like additional this steering scheme or whatever. So the game is totally not prepared for it in terms of movement, in terms of nausea. And we can hear from all those journalists like, okay, VR sucks because I played Resident Evil 7 because it's a big title with a big name, so I played it. And VR on it sucks. Well, obviously it sucks. It's 60 frames per second. And you're moving around, like walking, like obviously you're gonna get nauseated. Like every VR developer knows that, right? But not necessarily the end user will understand.
Yeah, they don't really care about those things. They just want to have
Yeah,
good experience.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, but we have stationary VR, we have mobile VR, but then we're talking also about games, right? Mostly about games, but VR, what do you think about VR outside of gaming? Like bigger or smaller? You know, VR outside of gaming, like simulations, movies, everything besides gaming.
So my favorite thing about VR is VR in game development. It's like using Vive to do motion capture, using the Oculus to record cutscenes like with a natural camera movement, doing that kind of stuff, like editing in the VR. Like does Unreal Engine support editing out of the box?
Right
That's
now,
it. Like,
yes.
is Unity gonna do that?
Going to.
Yes.
Yeah, so Unity is gonna do that. If not, somebody on the asset store is gonna do that.
Yeah, Unity is going to do that. The same thing that you've seen with Unreal, I guess, because I've seen them both. Well, I'm talking about like being in VR and actually moving stuff in VR in your level while you're editing it. But it looks really good as an experiment, but I'm not sure if it will ever be a viable solution.
I think it helps. Like it can be. It probably won't be like you need the precise controls of like the mouse and keyboard and like typing stuff in. But then like you can, if you want to like add some junk, you have a room like this, and you want to scatter the chairs. Like you just like shrink yourself up and like just do this.
So
that's so much simpler than like copy pasting everything.
Technically, our game with trains is, and I figured it out after probably 2-3 months of development. It's exactly the thing, because we are creating the area, we are creating the terrain, putting the trucks, putting the houses, putting cactuses and what's up. And we figured out after about 2-3 months that it's we are creating game editor within Gear VR, and it's huge task. And I agree, it's not that easy. It looks great when there is someone trained on the scene presenting either Unity or Unreal version, but really it's very hard now because we have completely no idea how to create UI in VR, how to create responses in VR. You don't have access to keyboard. If it's floating keyboard in VR, it sucks, and you can't just use keyboards laying on the table because you can't see it. So there's a lot of things that just simply suck in VR because we have no bloody idea how to do them, and there's nothing we can rip off as we used to do in for years.
Nothing on the asset store, right?
Nothing on the asset
It's
store.
interesting that you mentioned this third-person view experience, because when VR just started, everything was thinking that the experience will be like a first-person view. And actually, first-person games in VR, they kind of suck. You cannot play more than like 10-20 minutes without like...
It's much more comfortable to actually play the
and no acceleration, right?
And I heard
And no
a lot,
spinning.
I heard a lot from different companies who experimented a lot in VR that actually third-person view, when you do something like you are being like a god
mode.
Yeah, it's a god mode and doing something like this, it really works surprisingly well.
So, but the original question was about big companies creating shitty experience in VR. And my first thought was, okay, they can kill the market. But the second one is, when the mobile appeared, there was tons of first-person games when you have virtual joysticks on the tiny phone, and there were pretty huge brands as well trying to put something in this new market, and they failed. And the biggest brands are not on the mobile. There are entirely new companies there, and I'm not that afraid. There will be some sort of experiences that will suck, and people will see, okay, so big companies now are creating shitty experience for VR, so we are not buying from big companies. Let's see the indie companies.
Yeah, but the big companies are the big companies. But like, try to understand them. They invest a lot of money in that. They need the return, so they're trying to play safe. But they're like, I'm shitting my pants. Like they must be shitting their pants like even more with all the investments.
Million times more.
So they try to play it safe even more than like they're normally playing it safe because like the market is smaller and like the outlook is like not clear. I guess that's okay because like if them playing safe is making something that like you've seen these experiences, they're like not the worst thing ever. They play fine. There are a lot of mistakes. There are a lot of things to to move upon. There are like a lot of things that could be done differently, but they are trying to do something right. They're not just like putting shovel. I think shovel work, that would be a problem. Like people trying to dig through all the garbage, that would be a problem. Like then carefully threading is good for us to like just step over them, and that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, but you know, there's this chance that because of that, because it's slow, the market grows slowly, it won't develop. Like it won't be too slow, and people will get bored what is now, and they will think, okay, it's nothing interesting for me, and they will just skip it down.
Yeah, but like if you look at all the like indie developers making crazy shit for the VR, it's coming, and it's gonna come more. And like thanks to game jams and like the like actually like the companies like the Unreal guys and the Vive guys and the Oculus guys, like catering for that, like for the indie developers, the guys who like have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Like they don't cater for people who try to tread carefully. They really want the thing in the hands of the people who will do crazy things. And I think that's a good approach, and I think it's working now, and it's going to work even more.
And I'm not worried about guys buying stuff being bored with the stuff, because you can always get some 360 video and get some other experiences. Not to mention social experience in VR. If you have never tried Oculus Social Alpha, it's the most disrupting experience I ever had. It was the first time and the only time I had a real presence of somebody else in virtual space. I mean, virtual space, I played multiplayer games. I played World of Warcraft in huge chunk of people. We had rides like 25 people around. I had some stuff taking position of guys in the game and putting them speaking around me, and I never felt they are here. They were somewhere else in UK, in different parts of Poland playing the same game, but we were not there together, even if we had avatars. But in the Oculus Social Alpha, I got the avatar, I had the head tracking moved from my personal tracking into the space. I had some lip sync when I was talking something. My lips were moving, and the same was for the other guys around there. And we were sitting on the moon watching some stuff on the Vimeo, and then I felt someone is watching at me. I just took a look, and it was exactly like this. There was the guy there staring at my avatar, and fuck, he's looking at me. To the other side, wow, he's looking at me too. Damn, what's happening? No, wait, they're not looking at me, they're looking at my red devil avatar, and it's not me, but the feeling of presence of somebody else around me was extremely strong. And playing around this, it's a potential of VR. We are not even trying to scratch on it yet, but it's something completely different. So imagine you can meet with your far relative living in, like, you're in Warsaw, he's in UK, or you're in Moscow, he's in Sydney, and you can meet together and talk together. You've got avatars, obviously, but you can talk and play together with something. You can sit next to each other and watch movie. And this is completely not game development stuff in VR, but it's completely new experience. So VR is changing the way we see things. So it's something completely new, turning everything upside down. So I'm not that afraid it will disappear. Maybe it will be not huge hit within a year. Maybe we have to wait like 2 years before it will adapt, but there's a lot of potential here.
I have a similar story. So I was, I don't know if you've seen like a trailer for the Mosh Pit Simulator. There's like this guy on the drums playing drums. So I had like, there was this like floppy guy just like lying on the drums, and my task was like to grab his hands and like to the rhythm of the music, just drag him around. And like what happened, like the drumstick fell down, and I was trying to reach it, like not touching because like the drumstick was obviously not there. But I was trying to get around it, and then I realized like it's not there. But it's like my brain, I knew it, but my brain couldn't like didn't let me put my hands inside
the objects. You still try to work like in a real life and do stuff.
And like the thing is like it's more of a joke, but I don't think like covering your eyes and your ears is the most social experience ever.
So yeah, it's not social when you have people around you, definitely. But people are rather using VR when they are alone at home. They have some me time, and they can put this on and just, there's not that you are actually there when you are staring at your phone finding Pokemons. So you are physically there, but when you're staring at your cell phone, you're not there either. So it's like the slight difference only that you put this phone that close, not that close. So.
And by the way, like if you want to take a nap on a bench in a park or like on a conference room, like just put a headset on and like no one is gonna disturb you. It's like the life protocol.
I use this on an airplane. I use this on an airplane.
Nobody bothers you.
Nobody bothers me. This is the first
He's
thing.
playing the game.
And
The best thing is that you can turn on the cameras. So
and
they don't know
look
that
at
you're
them.
looking. Right? It's
Yes.
like you're looking, but
yeah, so I actually tried this. I turned on the camera and I give VR, and nobody cared really. It looks strange for now, and I was afraid that everyone will be, taking smartphones and making some photos around, but nobody cared
Like
too
taking
much.
selfies.
They asked about
selfies
it.
with people with VR headsets on a conferences is a thing as well.
Okay.
okay, but we're talking about like in 2 years, in 1 year, it's coming, etc., etc. Right now, you have a let's say a hardcore player friend, or maybe a casual player friend, a hardcore player friend. Do you recommend buying Oculus Rift or HTC Vive to the hardcore player today, or do you advise the casual player to buy the mobile like Samsung Gear VR, or do you none of that and say it's coming, wait 1 year? What do you do right now?
I know. I'm like, dude, come to my house and play my game, and like he's gonna make that decision himself.
Isn't it right now? Isn't it the Wii effect? You know, right now
The Wii effect.
the Wii effect.
Wii
Yeah.
is the most best-selling console ever.
Yeah, but Wii is fucking sucks, right? Because Wii is like
Who cares?
we.
It's best selling console.
Yeah,
Dude.
but we're not selling consoles, right? We're not selling consoles. But the problem is with Wii was like this, that exactly people did that and it was devious. I hated those people because I fell for it, because you go to the guy's house, you play some Wii Sport, right?
You want it.
And you want it. You buy it, you don't know that the minute you left, because he already had Wii for like 2 weeks, the minute you left, he packed up the Wii, got it into the shelf or whatever, right? And like never opened it again and played PlayStation.
I actually play my Wii regularly.
Yeah,
but
I know that there are those people, but mostly it was this like Pokemon effect, right? It's like my friends do it, it's really cool. And I would right now, my personal opinion in gaming is I would discourage, because there's no content. I mean, if you have a lot of money, you can buy it like if you're a gadget person or whatever, but it's $700, right? And you can't even buy content for $700. That's not shitty. You actually cannot spend right now on Steam $700
on
VR games if you're not gonna buy shit, for example, right?
But I sort of agree with you that, for example, with me, I kind of watched and played pretty much everything, and I was like, okay, and packed all the stuff, and I never touched it again. Well, not never, but like, not regularly. So it probably will happen with your friends if you show them this stuff. But the point with PC VR is that you have to have a really beefy PC. So it's GTX 970 minimum, which is
It's gonna be quickly more probably.
yeah, that's right now, which is not very expensive, but anyway, like you can't really play on your Mac or whatever laptop.
I built the tiniest, cheapest PC just like to carry it around to long conferences, like a box. It's $1,000. It's $1,000 to get like the minimum spec
Yeah,
PC.
it's $1,000 plus like 7.
And it works. You can play all of the things.
So I really like mobile VR, especially if like you already have the phone, because it's the most like costly part, and it's much easier to share the experience. For example, when Oculus Rift only came out, the first prototype, you still could connect it to a laptop and like, show it to your friends, the experience. So some people went to conferences with their laptops, showing their prototypes around. So you always had to have this laptop, like, okay, I'll show you, I'll open the laptop, connect all the things, like find the power source, and etc.
And wires around the neck.
And that's like a lot of preparation. And right now we have like this Gear VR, which is more like, hey, see this yourself, like, try this yourself. And the Gear VR without the phone costs like $100 or less right now. There are similar cases for iPhones, and I really hope that Apple will release some official thing on official device sometime soon.
The problem with the mobile VR, at least for me, and I'm saying that it's not as a developer but a user, it's not good enough. Simply as that.
But what do you mean not good enough?
Like the performance?
resolution, yeah, the performance, the resolution.
Did you try the Gear VR?
The resolution is the same basically like in Vive or
almost, but it's like to control the
I'm
game.
pretty sure it's the same.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
Input.
So maybe the product I tried was okay, but still I was tired actually after a few minutes trying to play the game where I had to control the game with the D-pad that is located on a headset, and I need to have the hand in the air all the time. I just try something different.
You can use
so it's problematic to
Yeah, so
control the game.
but I think it's not about the hardware, it's about the software. Like people don't know how to there's no input on the Gear VR. You either do the head tracking, try to get people to move their head in a way, or you use the controller that nobody has, or you make them do this all the time. And
but here comes Daydream and the Google
what's Daydream? I don't even know.
So Daydream is the idea of the Google, and Google will provide they will certify phones as Daydream ready. So the phone,
so it's pretty much cardboard, but with high.
Yeah, but all the electronic stuff from Gear VR will be in the phone. So the phone without Gear VR, you put in the cardboard, and the performance in terms of head tracking will be most likely the same. And the good stuff is they already thought about the controller, so you'll just have an additional controller in your hand, and you'll have 3 points of freedom, so you can manipulate with the controller, even that you can point to the back when looking there, so you don't have to connect the gaze point when you are looking and then in the center with the place where you are actually pointing out. And it will be, you will have to use this controller because there will be separate store for Daydream games, and you will have to use this controller to operate in this store. So you will be able to create the game or whatever experience using this controller.
We need to talk about that.
Okay, so there will be controller, and it will solve one of two things that are problematic in mobile VR. The second one is positional tracking, that you don't have any positional tracking. But it's something that I know everyone almost from hardware part is working over positional tracking, but this is really something that lacks in mobile VR, especially when you experience stationary VR, when you can really lean, duck, jump, whatever.
Speaking of positional tracking, we can talk about HoloLens, like augmented reality, because it's a really cool device because there's no wires. You can see through it, and it maps the surrounding around you, so there's some kind of positional tracking in place.
And thankfully this time Microsoft is not rushing out this product, because when I first heard about HoloLenses from Microsoft, I thought okay, and there will be the same history that was 15 years ago when they presented first tablets, sort of like iPad, before anybody was prepared for this, and it was ugly, it was heavy, and it was not working pretty well.
I was testing it.
Yeah?
Yeah, in Slovakia like 1 month ago, and it's pretty cool. I mean, the display area is really small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like,
thankfully Microsoft postponed the
tracking
really...
stuff, and when you walk around with it, and the time stuff is...
So great! Within 3-5 years it will be hit.
And what was the application you tested?
What?
What was the application you tested?
Oh, I don't remember, really. Because there was like this Slovakian company, I don't even know, I had a stand of my own game in PlayStation VR, and I was like taking care of that, so I just moved one side, and just checked it out, put it on. It was like 15 minutes, and the application generally you walked around and weird shit happened. Like there were people coming through your screen and all that. So it was really interesting. Like in terms of technical prowess, not and of the future promise, not in terms of like quality of content.
Okay, so the last question before we maybe open up for like last questions from the public is: do you believe in VR? One by one, Maybe let's start.
Is that a yes/no question?
That's a yes or no question.
I'm not gonna answer that.
It's like
I like.
it's like because okay.
I believe it depends on all of us, like including me. I don't
because
believe we need to work hard to make it happen.
There are like two options with VR. Like I think that we can all agree that it's not gonna be a $1 billion business in a month, right? Right? It's gonna take time, but it's good. It can take too much time and die, or it can take some time and be a big thing one day. Right?
Okay, so that's my answer. I
Really
believe
big thing. Yeah.
that the success of VR depends on all of us, the VR developers, making.
Are you trying to say that the success of VR depends on Mosh Pit Simulator?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, we're screwed. we're screwed. Okay.
Yeah, I also believe, and I think that I started believing it when I first got.
You also believe that it depends on the mosh we see.
No. Well, yes, of course. It's better be good.
It's gonna be terrible, man. We're all gonna stop.
That's the point.
I'll make sure of that.
Right. So what? Yeah. So when I got to test the first Oculus Rift, I was playing. I think one of two games available. It was Team Fortress 2. And it was really cool. I didn't know that. Well, it wouldn't occur to me that such a change in interface would possible. So usually, like when you control an FPS, you just focus with like a crosshair somewhere and shoot. And here with with a headset, you can like watch somewhere here but shoot there, and it's kind of hard to explain without like experiencing, but it was really like revealing experience, and I didn't see all these huge pixels. I just was like immersed into this game, and I really believe that it's going to be huge. It's kind of big for me right now, like for like a small group of developers and like early adopters, but I really believe that it will be huge for everyone.
Okay, so to be honest, no, I don't believe. I have some hopes that maybe something will come up and it will be nice, but
So far, it's nothing.
so far I'm a little bit disappointed and afraid that we might not need it.
Okay.
So I do believe in, especially
You
mobile.
have to believe.
Not quite, really. The data I have shows that I can sell the game and earn on it, and I do not have any need to create another one in VR. But I do believe mobile VR will be a big thing pretty soon.
Because
And maybe PlayStation VR. I'm not quite sure about stationary VR.
I think like PlayStation VR will be early success, but then probably it no longer will be. It will be next move. You know, there will be some stuff for it, but nobody will go crazy with it. And I think like I'm actually on it with SOS. It's all about us, but I'm very skeptical. And I think that you know the home VR is gonna fail totally when we are talking about PCs and PlayStation. We are going to kill it because most developers are too fucking lazy to do any research. Like E3 this year for me was a big fail when it comes to VR in general. Oculus was there with a small booth, like PlayStation VR had a thing, and some of that was great, but you know, reasonable, right? So there are two sides to this medal, and when such big franchises doesn't deliver, it doesn't matter what the others do. You know, the word gets out, and it's pretty much.
Thanks.
Two things. I think that everyone who do not believe that VR is going to be the thing, looking from the game developer perspective, should read the interview with Palmer Lucky from about the GDC, I think, or it's on Damas Cultura. They said that now in current generation of VR, games are in minority of things which sells in VR, something about 20%. VR is stayed now on the core and architecture, visual architecture, and maybe in some second generation of VR games will make 50% of things that sales. And everyone who does not believe in mobile VR should read the VR report from Farm 51, which is the first position globally through Like, I don't know if it's confidential or not, but it's on Google. We say that 80% of VR headsets will be the mobile headsets, and only about 15% of money in VR will be in Oculus Rift and Vive. So I think that VR, yes, will be a thing, but mobile.
Okay.
I think that if we compare mobile markets to PC and consoles, still we have like hundreds of millions of mobile devices, and I don't know, tens of millions of PCs on the world which are like have capability to like launch VR titles, and still like VR titles for HTC Vive or Oculus, as you said, may cost €8, €100 because you can see that people tend to pay more for good VR content because there is none right now.
Yeah.
And they.
Well,
actually,
I am.
Well, I think that a lot of people are because even when you look at the Steam store.
Yeah, I bought this like expansion pack for $20 to this like really pretty game for VR.
I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's really shitty. Right?
Yes, I agree. So we can talk about it.
Yeah.
But the point is that there are very simple games that I would say like Hollow Point or Space Pirate Trainer VR or Selfie Tennis, which are very great, which are very good games to buy. They cost like 10 to 20 euros. And if it was a PC game, regular PC game, no one would pay €5. I would think that even if it was a €5 price point, there would be a lot of people that would be nagging and saying that it was a bad idea and a lot of refunds.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, how much time? Like, I would like to ask myself how much time I spend playing Selfie Tennis. It's like my most played VR game. I launch it and then I play it, and it feels like 5 minutes, but like I'm playing it for hours. And the same with Space Pirate Trainer, not that much because you get exhausted really quickly.
Yeah.
If you didn't play these games, like these are the best 2 games for VR. And like that's the thing. Like it might feel like 5 seconds of gameplay end, but it's not. It's like it's hours and hours. You can have fun with yourself.
Yeah, but still.
So VR porn is the thing, yeah.
Hours and hours.
Actually, with mobile VR, we still like have a tag that it's a mobile thing, and people are used to free mobile stuff right now. Like,
But you can see the same trend in mobile. It's just like
I think, but
it's just like translated to mobile because, for example, premium is like that, right? It's like only a very small percentage, while mobile VR is almost 100% premium, and it's okay that you charge $3
Even
for
more,
a game.
Yeah, and even more, there's separate store for Oculus Gear VR, and there will be separate store for Google Daydream. It will not be the same store. They will create a separate store, and they do say that you should not go free to play for VR because it's not something
Not
that
to
you
kill the market.
yeah, because it's not something that you can plug your phone into the headset, put it on, and okay, let's see how it's going on our farm. Okay, you have 2 carrots to sprinkle with the water, so you sprinkle the water in VR, and then you put it down, put phone out, and do the regular task, and after half an hour, okay, I have to check again for something, because this is not the model, and I don't suppose the free-to-play will be pretty soon in VR.
yeah, but
It's even more complicated than UI and handling FPS and all other stuff.
I agree, but if we were to go like hundreds of millions of mobile devices with Daydream, I think that there will soon emerge a market of really good free games, and we will see the same shift as with mobile games.
But it's gonna take years.
But it's different.
Not gonna be quick.
But this is different way of using. It's not that you are putting out your phone to see the text message and accidentally you catch the Pokemon.
So
Different way of using stuff.
So actually, like for me, there is also another frontier for the PC VR gaming that can take off. but it won't be at home. It will be mostly for museums and science centers. Like we can create experiences for people to witness in science center, to see some fucking dinosaur or to fly around.
It's unhygienic.
There's a problem with hygiene, but for example, in China arcades are still pretty big, and now VR rooms and VR shows, for example, in China is a really big market right now.
Museums usually have people that take care of each room, so teaching them to clean up the VR headset after somebody's done with it is not a big deal for me.
Especially if you take the PlayStation VR, it's much more hygienic than Vive and Oculus, because you don't have the foam, you just have this rubber something that separates you, so you are like not sweating.
I mean, you are still sweating, but it's far.
But you can wipe it off.
So, first thing that's better in it, you can wear glasses in it pretty comfortably. I don't know.
I'm wearing glasses in
you can do this in Vive.
So, but you know, in PSVR you can fit a really big glass. Like my brother has this 80-looking glasses, really big frames, and he's able to put the headset without any problem. You know, it just fits. And I lost my
Point.
train of thought. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What is the question?
So basically, we're doomed. I believe you don't believe. You have to believe, and
You have to believe too.
but I'm a moderator. So.
Yeah. But I believe in mobile, you believe in PC.
Yeah, I believe in VR altogether. I'm not saying that mobile will suck.
Okay.
Definitely not. Okay,
I
thank
believe
you.
we are gonna starve to death happily.
Thank you very much for attending, and let's go drink.